The earth groaned under the weight of steel, a primal roar that shattered the dawn. I froze, toothbrush dangling from my mouth, foam dribbling onto my chin as the bathroom window rattled. Outside, something monstrous was chewing through my the field I'd spent a decade resurrecting from a barren cattle pasture. I spat into the sink, heart pounding, and stumbled to the window. A yellow bulldozer was tearing a gash across my soil research site, flattening moss beds and crushing sensors. And there, perched atop the machine like a warlord in a bad movie, was Sylvia Grant, Willow Creek HOA president, her pearl earrings glinting as she barked orders. I didn't think. I didn't grab shoes. Barefoot, shirtless, I sprinted across the dewy grass, yelling, "Stop! That's my property!" Sylvia turned, her lips curling into a smirk. "Remove this man from our land," she snapped. That's when I knew my quiet life had detonated into a surreal, infuriating war. I'm Nathan Cole, a retired USDA soil scientist who swapped 35 years of lab coats for a patch of earth in rural Willow Creek. This wasn't just dirt, it was a federally protected research site, a Lee-Ing experiment in soil regeneration and carbon sequestration. For 8 years, I'd nurtured it with native plants, no chemicals, just science and stubborn hope. The field was laced with solar-powered sensors feeding data to a federal database, proof that even abused land could heal. But Sylvia didn't see that. To her, it was an eyesore, a rebellion against her VY shown of suburban perfection gazebos, clipped hedges, HOA glory. And she wasn't asking permission to take it. It was 6:38 a.m. on a Tuesday, too early for sanity. I was brushing my teeth when the bulldozer's growl hit, louder than any neighbor's lawnmower, angrier than a summer storm. At first, I thought it was a nearby construction gig, someone VYing a driveway or digging a pond. But when I looked out, my stomach lurched. The machine was obliterating my field, ripping up delicate moss and snapping sensors like twigs. I ran outside, the grass cold under my feet, and there was Sylvia, a clipboard in hand, directing the operator like a general. Her pastel blazer was spotless, her heels sinking into my dirt. "Nathan, this is HOA property now," she said, her voice syrupy with fake pity. "We're building a community, VY lion. You're in the way." I choked back a laugh, rage burning hotter. "This is my land, Sylvia. It's fenced. It's registered with the USDA." She didn't blink, just waved a manicured hand. "That old fence? Decorative. Your science toys? Junk." She bent down, yanked a sensor from the soil, and tossed it into a trash bin with a flick of her wrist. That's when I knew this wasn't a mix-up, it was a power grab. I planted myself in front of the bulldozer, arms wide, staring down the operator. He was a kid, barely 20, with a bored slouch that said he'd rather be scrolling his phone. "Kill the engine," I said loud and steady. He glanced at Sylvia, then back at me, and cut the motor. Silence hit like a slap. I pulled out my phone and started recording Sylvia, the bulldozer, the ruined earth. "You're trespassing," I said. "You're destroying protected land. I'll have you arrested." Sylvia's smile was venomous. "Arrested? Nathan, I'm SAVYing this neighborhood from your mess. You'll thank me later." Sylvia had been a menace since she strong-armed her way to HOA president 18 months ago. She'd campaigned on beautification, but her real game was control, finding people for unapproved paint colors, banning wildflowers, even trying to outlaw porch swings for encouraging loitering. My land was her obsession because it sat just outside the HOA's boundary, untouchable by her rules. My barns peeling paint, my untamed grasses, they were a middle finger to her manicured kingdom. For months, she'd been sniffing around, claiming my field was underutilized. Now she'd gone nuclear. Bulldoze first, deal with the fallout later. I tried reasoning, pulling up my title deed on my phone, pointing to the conservation sign she'd ignored. She brushed it off. "The community needs this space, Nathan. Don't you care about progress?" When I mentioned the federal protections, she scoffed. "Your dirt hobby? Nobody cares. A neighbor, bless her, called the sheriff. Deputy Mike Larson rolled up 15 minutes later, looking like he'd been dragged from breakfast. He took in the scene, barefoot and fuming. Sil VY, poised like she was posing for a magazine. The bulldozer idling over a trench where my moss used to be. "This your land, Nathan?" he asked, rubbing his temple. "Yes, sir," I said, showing him the parcel ID and USDA registry. "It's federally monitored." Sil VY shoved a crumpled map at him. Pink lines scribbled across it like a toddler's art project. "This proves it's ours," she insisted. "His records are outdated." Mike sighed, told us to stay put, and radioed for verification. By 10 a.m., he confirmed my ownership and the federal protections. Sil VY was ordered to stop, but not before her bulldozer had carved a 3-foot gouge through my field, smashing 2 sensors and compacting soil I'd spent years restoring. As she stormed off, yelling at the operator to stand by, I stared at the damage. This wasn't just land, it was a fragile ecosystem, a decade of work, a promise to the planet. And she'd treated it like a landfill. I didn't sulk. I emailed my old USDA colleague, Jenna, who ran soil integrity. I called my buddy Alex at the state NVY environmental unit. Then I rang my lawyer, Kate, who snorted when I told her about Sil VYA. "This is next-level crazy," she said, promising an injunction. By noon, we had photos, VY-DAOs, and documents backed up on secure drives. Kate's paralegal dubbed it the Pa VY line disaster. But I knew Sil VY wouldn't quit, double down. Next morning, I woke at 5 a.m., braced for another assault. The silence was heavy, like the air before a tornado. I grabbed my boots, filled a thermos with coffee, and walked my field. Tire tracks scarred the earth. Moss was buried, and another sensor was gone. It felt like someone had burned my life's work. I snapped photos, uploaded them, and sent copies to Kate and Jenna. By 8 a.m., a gray SUV pulled up, and 2 agents stepped out, Lila from the USDA and Omar from the EPA. I showed them the sensor logs, the trampled roots, the bulldozer's path. Lila crouched by a crushed moss patch, her jaw tight. "This is a protected site," she said. "Tampering's a felony." I handed her my VY-DAO of Sil VY tossing the sensor. "She didn't just tamper," I said. She gloated. As I left, I checked the HOA social media. Sil VY had posted a rant. "Pavilion project moves ahead. Don't let one man's selfishness ruin our vision." She'd included a photo of herself with a shovel, grinning like she hadn't just committed a crime. Most comments were supportive clapping emojis. "You go, Sil VY," but a few neighbors questioned her. "Isn't that Nathan's land?" one wrote. "Thought it was protected," another added. Sil VY ignored them, but doubt was creeping in. That afternoon, I bolted new "no trespassing" signs to the fence, big, reflective, with legal warnings, and hid a motion-activated camera by the gate. Sil VY thrived on intimidation, but EVY Denke would bury her. Sure enough, the next morning, her BMW crawled up my driveway. She stormed out, heels clicking, and shook the gate. "This is illegal," she barked. "It's blocking our crew." I stepped from the barn. "No crew, Sil VYA. No jurisdiction." She waved a packet, claiming an emergency HOA vote had seized my land for community use. I kept my cool. "You can't vote to steal property," I said. She smirked, spun around, and shouted, "Our lawyer's coming for you." Her lawyer was Todd, a local notary with delusions of grandeur. His letter accused me of disrupting progress and harassing Sil VYA. It was nonsense, but it was meant to scare neighbors, to frame me as the bad guy. What Sil VYA didn't know was that Kate had found a flaw. Her emergency vote broke HOA rules, missing notification for half the board. The USDA had also escalated, and Omar was drafting felony charges. Then came a game changer. A neighbor, Ellen, left an envelope on my porch at dusk. Inside were drone photos of Sil VYA taken at night, pouring liquid from a jug onto my field right where grass had died and moss had withered. Her face was unmistakable, lit by a flashlight, twisted with spite. Someone with serious gear was watching her, and they'd sent me the proof. I uploaded the images to the USDA. Jenna called an hour later. "This is sabotage," she said. "We're building a case." Sylvia, clueless, kept performing. She hosted a community pride day with lemonade and a landscape expert, her cousin, who sold patio chairs. She pointed to my field, promising trails and benches. A few clapped, but most neighbors shifted uncomfortably, whispering about the news. A local station had aired my story sensors, documents, moss samples. The reporter nailed it. Sylvia tried to bulldoze a science site for a gazebo. The clip went viral, spawning memes, HOA Queen versus Dirt Defender, and my face, annoyingly, became a chat sticker. Sylvia hit back, claiming I'd faked the protections to block Unity. That lie lit a fire. I and Ted the news crew back, showed the Federal Registry, and explained the moss's carbon-trapping power. The second story exploded, trending nationwide. Comments flooded. "She's unhinged. Save the soil." A comedian quipped, "Gazebo ladies out here fighting grass like it keyed her car." Sylvia's final move was pure desperation. She hired a night crew to clear debris. A neighbor tipped off Mike, who caught her with 2 kids, a pile of mulch, and bricks for a community wall. Sylvia claimed the land was donated by a dead recluse me. Mike didn't buy it. The kids confessed she'd lied. That triggered USDA and EPA charges. Tampering, herbicide use, fraud. Kate filed my suit, damages, defamation, everything. The HOA unraveled fast. An audit exposed Sylvia's scams. HOA funds spent on her nephew's DJ gigs, a community banner for her side hustle, even a rented fountain for her dog's birthday. Neighbors revolted, rewriting bylaws, banning Sylvia from leadership. She faced probation, fines, and ironic community cleaning local wetlands she'd once called swampy eyesores. Something better rose from the ashes. The university offered a grant to restore my field as a teaching site. Students arrived, replanting moss, resetting sensors, dubbing it the Grant Green Zone with a chuckle. Sylvia's destruction birthed a classroom, a legacy. One evening, I walked the field, sprouts pushing through scars. Ellen slipped me a note from Sylvia's brother, an apology, plus a copied page from Sylvia's old journal, dated years back, circling my land. Must control. She'd been plotting forever, a quiet obsession I'd never seen. The bulldozer's echo was gone, replaced by wind through new grass. Sylvia wanted power, but the land had other ideas. It spoke through roots, through data, through people who fought back. And it won. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.